Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's live stream on the channel. NASCAR 6 Do It for Dale Series race this afternoon, and it will be at the Chicagoland Speedway for the running of the USG Duroc 300. It is going to be an interesting race today, to say the least. No practice, and we are going to be qualifying here in a matter of moments as well, trying to get Dale Earnhardt Jr. a win on a mile and a half, something he has not been able to do in both the Busch and the Cup Series side of things this season. We'll have to see how today's race is going to go. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. Double header action for you guys on the channel today. We have our race at Chicagoland right now for the Busch Series on NASCAR 06. 200 laps, 300 miles, and then following this today, live commentary for the Atlanta NASCAR Cup Series race on the Super Speedway at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that will be the start of that live stream, and this is the start of this one. We'll hop into qualifying right now, trying to get Dale Earnhardt Jr. the pole. R6, Wade Selinsky. Does Brad K need a second championship? Welcome to the stream, and we'll see if Dale Jr. can get this Menards number 81 Chevrolet on the pole once again this season. I was paying attention to the chat when I pulled up onto the racetrack. Oh, geez. That's not a good way to start qualifying off. Hopefully 2 laps is going to be enough to tell exactly what this car is going to have handling-wise. Probably won't be, especially for the long run. But Dale Jr. might be able to make some adjustment changes following qualifying. We'll see. Finished third in the Cup race at Chicagoland last week. We'll see how he's going to do in this week's Busch Series race. That took place on Wednesday night. I do think he's going to have a shot at the pole. He had a fast race car, and he led a decent amount of laps. 73 laps in that Cup Series race. Hit the wall before he even started. Yeah, it's better to get the... Get all the silliness out of the way now before we get into the race. This is a pretty good lap for Dale Jr., though, all things considered, despite that get-up-to-speed lap not being great. Pretty good on the handling department. 5th. 31.231 on lap 1 for Dale Jr. Lap 2, going a little bit wide through turns 1 and 2. He couldn't quite hook the bottom lane near that white line. It's going to be close. He's going to need to be perfect, though, in turns 3 and 4 if he's going to want a shot at the pole. Really good. Near perfect. He's going to go to the apron off turn 4. All the way down to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get the ticker back. And I think lap 1 was actually quicker than lap 2. He lost time in 3 and 4, even though it looked like he hit his marks. So for the second straight race, Dale Jr. will qualify in the 5th place position. Ryan Newman, the Rocket Man, will be on the pole for this one. Patrick Shadley, Outsider, welcome to the stream as well. Did I lose power steering? Yeah, we can go with that. How did I do last night? I did not do good. Finished 39th, unfortunately. Dale doesn't start getting max points, season's over. Yeah, 432 points out of first with Dale Jr., even though he's 7th in the standings. And Clint Boyer starting in 6th place on the outside of Dale Jr. Green flag is going to be in the air at Chicagoland. We are underway for the first of our doubleheader action this Sunday afternoon on the channel. Boyer going all the way to the outside in turns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. did not take off well on the start. He's going to lose a couple positions in turns 1 and 2, stacking up Bobby Labonte, J.J. Yaley, and other cars behind him. John Hamilton pulled down right in front of the 81. Carl Edwards gets by on the outside. Dale Jr. losing 5 spots on the opening lap of today's race. And unlike last night at Daytona, no opening lap caution. We had 6 yellows in just 100-lap race. 3 of them in the first half of the race were all AI related. Will Atlanta get delayed today? There is a possibility. There's a chance of rain all pretty much afternoon into evening long. Hence the fact why they should start the races earlier. Cough, cough. Because it's not raining there currently. And if they'd start the races at about 1 o'clock, we'd at least get to halfway before 3. We'll see. I hope they do. That's another reason why I wanted to do this race last second. Was just in case that race ends up getting delayed or postponed today. Contact up inside the top 4. I don't know who made contact exactly, but Dale Jr. is kind of stuck in line right now in the 10th place position. No adjustment changes from qualifying to practice. Ryan Newman's led the first 3 laps of this race today already from that pole starting position. The mile and a halves have been tricky. A lot of fast speed and consistently good finishes in both the Busch and the Cup Series races on the mile and a halves, but no wins to show for Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to turn the tide today. Again, had a 3rd place finish on Wednesday night at Chicagoland in the Cup Series race. I think he'll have momentum on his side here, but he needs to have some good, solid finishes. He's going to go down to the apron into the trial. We'll try to get to the inside of the 121 car, and he will get to the inside of him into turns 1 and 2, but he entered so flat into the corner with going down to the apron to the tri-oval that he couldn't stay underneath him. Real good kid, real good kid. Welcome to the stream. Changed the start time to 2? Did they? Hang on. I need to pause it and look. I didn't know they did. Hang on. Did they actually... If they change the start time, we cannot do this race right now. I want to see how serious that is. I don't think they did. It still says Atlanta 3 p.m. I don't think it starts at 2. It's still showing 3 on their website. Yeah, Elliott is on the pole. I did see qualifying got rained out yesterday when I was in Mid-Ohio. Yeah, I don't see anything about it starting at 2. No, it still shows 3 o'clock. That's a false alarm. You got me on that one. 2 Central, yeah. Maybe 2 Central. Not Eastern. Alright, back to business. Junior again going to get underneath the 121 car. He had an edgier setup in the Cup Series race. Brian Vickers just took the lead away from Ryan Newman that time on the front stretch as well. It is a scramble for the lead right now, though, inside the top 8. And Carl Edwards just blew the corner after getting around Clint Boyer on the backstretch. He's going to block Boyer off turn 4. Those guys are going to town up there. Dale Jr. going to drive to the inside of the 121 car. Again goes to the apron. I don't think he's going to have to enter overly flat into turns 1 and 2 this time. He gets up the track, a little contact. He's getting held up. He knows he's fast enough to be up there with those 8 drivers. Finally clear into turn 3. Well, no, maybe not. Now he is, middle of the corner. Back to 9th place. A little clean air in front of him now. At least until he gets closer to the group of cars ahead of him. Church Jr., one of the cars up in front of Dale Jr., also finished outside the top 10 last night at Daytona, despite the fact that both the Chance 2 Motorsport cars qualified in the top 10. Brian Vickers leading the way. He has not won a Busch Series race this season, trying to become the 9th different winner. Of course, he's a Cup Series regular in the 2005 season. That was a perfect corner through turns 1 and 2 for Dale Earnhardt Jr. I would not doubt if this is going to be his fastest lap of the race if he can replicate that in turns 3 and 4. .091. That was faster than he ran in qualifying by about 0.2 of a second. Blistering lap from Dale Jr. on lap 10. Chase start. If you're talking about the Nextel Cup Series on this season, no, it has not. I still have 8 races, I believe. And if you're talking about real life with the playoffs, no. I think they also have 8 races. Dale Jr. is underneath of the 138 car, gets squeezed into turn 1 and contact up the hill. That's going to cost Dale Jr. quite a bit of time. He got underneath him fair and square, and he was not given a lot of room to go into turn 1, and that led to the contact. Luckily, Dale Jr. was able to keep control of his race car, but now he's going to fall almost 2.5 seconds off the race lead. Bobby Labonte in the 19 car is trying to run him down for that 9th place position now. Labonte's been on a hot streak. He's finished in the top 3 in each of the last 3 races. Carl Edwards has just jumped to the lead. He's trying to get his 4th win of the season. Boyer leads in the Busch Series with the most wins, having 5 wins this season. Dale Jr. with 4 and Edwards with 3. Clint Boyer, a Busch Series regular at that as well. We're going to alternate through the different camera angles for the first time in the race today. Very early in the going yet, lap 14. Bobby Labonte is seemingly keeping a lot of pressure on Dale Earnhardt Jr. though. And the top 8 are starting to separate from one another as Edwards leads. Jr. overdrives 1 and 2. He had the left side tires down on that white line. May have to loosen the car up just a little bit. Maybe a little too snug. Obviously, him not taking off well on that initial start definitely hurts things a little bit. He is walking way up the racetrack, barely kept it off the wall off turn 4. He didn't want to lift any extra, so he will carry quite a bit of speed on the front stretch. But you can definitely tell this 81 car is battling a little bit of tight conditions right now. Unless he hits his marks perfectly in the corner like he did again through 1 and 2 that time. Closing back in on the 138 car again. Last time he got underneath him, he got squeezed going into turns 1 and 2. He has pulled Bobby Labonte a little bit over the last couple laps as well. Deep dive into 1 and 2 for Earnhardt. He's got to be careful down on the apron. Flirt with disaster every time he gets those left side tires down below that painted white line. He's done a couple times already. 138 car misses the bottom into turns 3 and 4, so Junior's able to get a little clean air on the nose. He's got to run on him. Through the tri-oval, he'll look low. Underneath the 138, side by side again, and again the 138 car squeezes Dale Jr. Forcing contact, and Junior again has to battle Labonte for 9th now. Labonte's going to get around both of them one of these times if they make contact again. Labonte in the wall off turn 4. He's going to lose a lot of ground now. No Torres, Alan Williams, welcome to the stream. Yeah, Elliott on the pole today. We'll see how he does. No practice or qualifying. It's going to be interesting because there was no practice or qualifying for the Xfinity race yesterday either because it also got washed out. And that Xfinity race was... I thought it was pretty good. A lot of people didn't like it, but it raced almost like an early... or I'd say more like a mid-2000s super speedway race where you kind of had packs breaking up on the longer green flag runs where the faster cars were prevailing. You could still pass. somebody made a mistake, which was a lot easier with the tight confines. I thought it was a better race than what most people seem to, at least the vocal minority on comment sections and other stuff were making it out to be. Again, there's more contact into turn 1. These two are going to end up wrecking each other one of these times. That's the third time Dale Jr. has gotten underneath the 138 car. And it's not even a block. He just slams the door shut on him. Jr. was very aggressive at Milwaukee, but that was on a short track. So it was able to pan out for him. He's not trying to be aggressive here like the 138 car has been. It's already hard enough to pass. Jr. getting to the inside in the middle of 1 and 2, but the 138 could not block that time. And Dale Jr. will complete the pass for 8th place. Clear down the backstretch into turns 3 and 4 as he tries to run down his teammate Martin Truex Jr. now. Dale way up the track. Almost gave up the bottom right back. Earl Arnold Jr., welcome to the stream. The predictions will be on the live stream before the race. Whenever I'm doing live commentary, the predictions are always at the start of that. That stream is starting immediately after this race comes to an end today. Dale Jr. definitely closing on Truex right now. Seems like the long run speed's starting to come to the 81 just a little bit. Cy Z, welcome to the stream. Dale Jr. to the outside of Martin Truex Jr. into turns 3 and 4. Truex up the track. He got tight. He's in the wall. Maybe. He might have kept it off the wall, but either way, there was contact between Dale Jr. and Martin Truex Jr. Jr. gets the spot on the outside. Truex slowed up going into the corner, and then he got tight in the middle of it. And both him and the 81 made contact. A lot of treacherous moments already. Surprised that didn't turn into an accident. Or they made contact on the racetrack. Why am I streaming so early? So I wanted to get this race in before the Cup race later. There's rain threatening today's Cup race at Atlanta. And in case it either gets rain shortened or postponed till tomorrow, the only way I'd be able to do another stream to give you guys some sort of racing content on the channel today was if I did this race before the Cup race. So it was kind of a last minute ditch effort, but it's only because there is rain threatening today's Atlanta race. I still will be doing live commentary for that race, don't worry, Eddie. Won't have to worry about me not doing it. You guys will still have that coverage when the time comes. I don't know exactly what time the drop of the green flag is, but it's probably going to be around 3:15, 3:20 Eastern Standard Time if I have to imagine. So we'll get this done in time for that. Looks like both Truex and Dale Jr. are pulling away from the cars behind them. So they got situated in their current 7th and 8th place position. Ryan Newman about to be passed by Shane Neal going into turns 1 and 2. Carl Edwards seems to be the dominant car, though, as of right now. He is really pulling away from the rest of the field. Webpage says 3:35. Oh, dang. Well, that's going to give us even more time. Bonus for getting this race in, even if we get a lot of yellows. slow the race pace down. Caution-free so far through 31 laps. Haven't had a caution-free Busch race. I doubt this is going to be the first one, although you never know. Really good corner through 3 and 4 that time for Dale Jr. Really an altogether good lap as he pulls away from his teammate Truex. And Newman no longer having to defend on Shane Meal. He's actually closed in on the car in front of him. Looking to make a pass for position into turn 1. May get alongside. Adrian K, welcome to the stream. New to the channel, thanks for tuning in. Subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I will be doing live commentary again for today's Atlanta race. I know a lot of people have asked that in the channel already, so if you're just tuning in, wondering why I'm doing this, not the live commentary, the race for the Cup Series doesn't start till a little later. Decided to give you guys a doubleheader today in case there's rain that has to deal with the Atlanta Cup race today because there is rain threatening today's race. It is not currently raining at the racetrack. I haven't checked the weather in the last few hours, so I don't know what the update has been. But I know as of this morning it was threatening. Good battle going into turns 3 and 4 right now. Shane Meal to the inside, or I should say Dale Jr. to the inside of Shane Meal. And Newman cleared John Hamilton. Going to look to cross him over on the front stretch. Dale Jr.'s got to run in the tri-oval, and they may be 3 wide into turn 1. Jr. squeezed by Meal. He got way out of the gas. He entered way too flat into the corner and knew he wasn't going to make it running that deep. And had to just let Shane Meal go. So he did not want to be 3 wide into turn 1. Smart move. It's still the early going of this race. And Meal will get around Newman, and the pole sitter has now dropped back to the 6th place position. Jr. going to go down to the apron through the tri-oval. Trying to pick up some time. Little shortcut. No out of bounds at Chicagoland. Apex Racing League, welcome. Building Legos and drinking milk. That's the life right there. Halfway in fuel, lap 35. So similar fuel tank as what we saw in the Cup race on Wednesday night at Chicagoland. This may be a 2 pit stop race today. We may try to battle back to John Hamilton and Shane Meal side by side nearly for second as Brian Vickers and Clint Boyer are battling further up the way. Carl Edwards is just taken off in the early going of this race. He has been the driver to beat on the 1.5 miles at both the Cup and the Busch Series this season, so no surprise he is leading early in today's race. Despite qualifying in the back half of the top 10, it did not take him long to get to the front. It's been difficult to pass today, but not for Carl Edwards. Goes to show if you have the car to be able to make these passes swiftly and efficiently, it can be a lot easier than what it can be for others. And it turns 3 and 4. Junior's still sitting in 7. Just can't really get a run when he gets close enough behind another car. Trying desperately to get underneath Ryan Newman into turns 1 and 2. He is there. And Junior will make the pass for 6th. He qualified 5th but lost 5 spots on the opening lap of the race back to 10th. So he's kind of slowly worked his way closer to back where he qualified. Shane Meal goes really wide into turns 3 and 4. Dale Jr. picks up a little bit more ground on the 32 car in front of him. Wide arc into turn 1 for Earnhardt. Dive bombs underneath Meal into turns 1 and 2. And as he looks to take the position away, he is going to be clear with a clean pass off turn 2. Starting to pick him up and put him down now. Way deep into turns 3 and 4. Meal almost got to the outside of the 81. That was nearly a danger zone. Surprised he didn't get clipped in the right rear corner panel. And Junior now going to slide underneath of John Hamilton on the front stretch. He still got off turn 4 really well. Deep dive into 1 and 2. He's lucky he's being able to stick that car down to the bottom of the track as low as he has ran it today, and he will pass Hamilton for 4th. And this is as high as Dale Jr. has been in the running order tonight. Well, I should say this afternoon. Got a Vanderbilt National Championship shirt and Ohio State gear. That's an interesting combination. New Japan shirt for Goodwill. I do remember you saying something about that. The Junior gave up the bottom, and Shane Meal's going to get underneath him. Big block by Earnhardt through the tri-oval, but he was clear. Boyer still battling Brian Vickers as well. It looks like John Hamilton will get underneath Shane Meal, so as they battle side by side, that might finally allow Dale Jr. to pull away from those two cars behind him. Ryan Newman's starting to lose a little bit of touch with the top 5. Junior gets really tight through 3 and 4, goes a bit wide off the exit of the corner, pulls down the middle of the tri-oval on the 120, and again he is clear. Desperately trying to get away from those cars behind him. Good corner through 1 and 2 will definitely help with that. 57 in the 2 car, been battling for second for an extremely long amount of time. '57 and the 2 could get alongside of each other. That'll slow him up and allow Dale Jr. to close in a little bit quicker on that battle for second, but Boyer hasn't quite gotten to the inside of Vickers yet. He's challenged a couple times and has gotten close. Boyer running this well in the early going of the race already has a 255-point lead over J.J. Yaley right now in the Busch Series standings. Junior gaining quite a bit through turns 1 and 2 this time. No negative effect in the dirty air that time. It's a nice little run getting into turns 3 and 4. Oh, wow, Vickers and Boyer go a little bit wide into the corner, and Junior closes the gap big time. And he'll go to the apron, into the tri-oval, trying to get underneath both of them. Off the exit of the tri-oval, Boyer on the inside of Vickers into turns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. on the bottom of the racetrack, going to follow the points leader, Clint Boyer. And the two blue cars will get around the Ryder red and yellow car to move into second and third. Vickers in the wall off turn 4. He's going to lose pace from the top 3. And Junior may get underneath Boyer. Boyer throws a block. Earnhardt gets a bit sideways, hangs onto it, and will take over second. It actually hurt the 2 car a little more than the 81. Bad block by Clint Boyer. And after just finally getting to second, he'll lose that spot about a lap later. And Edwards with about a 3-second lead. Has to be liking what his crew chief is probably telling him about that battle behind him. 50 laps in, still caution free today at Chicagoland. A lot of battling going on inside the top 10 from the get-go. Billy Carjoy, welcome to the stream. Hopefully you get healthy quick. Waldenay through the different camera angles again. in this opening fuel run of the race today. Again, Dale Jr.'s pacing well enough on fuel. He can make it on 2 stops. And Carl Edwards about to catch his first lap car. Probably next lap. Oh, Earnhardt in the wall off turn 4. I believe that's the first time he's gotten into the wall so far today. He's got a quarter tank of fuel left. And he has a 2-car of Clint Boyer right behind him after that mistake off turn 4 the last lap. Into turns 3 and 4 this time. They're trying to stay away from that wall as much as he possibly can right now. Oh, Junior just overdrove 1 and 2. He's about to give that spot right back up to Clint. Boyer's going to be clear. He's up to 2nd. Dale Jr. made a big mistake, driving it in deep into that last corner. And the battle is on again. Junior had 0 turn in his car that time and has to run the outside. Boyer ran the same line as him. Just mirror driving, trying to protect, and these guys are almost 4 seconds off the lead now for Carl Edwards. Junior's just overdriving the car too much right now. Trying to get back to Boyer. I think he's just going to have to sit and wait for that first pit stop to conclude. He lifted off turn 4 to keep it off the wall that time. Go back to the far chase cam until we get through the first set of green flag pit stops. Nobody has made a stop yet. Both right side tires wearing out on Dale Jr.'s race car. Definitely going to be a 4-tire stop when the time comes. Dale Jr. is super tight. Lifts so much just to get the car to turn in the middle of 3 and 4, and Brian Vickers has worked himself underneath Earnhardt. Dale Jr. going to side draft him in the tri-oval. Into turns 1 and 2. And Jr. will slide back into the 4th place position now. And Brian Vickers keeps that momentum that he had going into turns 1 and 2 to the exit of the corner, as now he'll drive underneath Boyer into turns 3 and 4. Junior's car going up the hill so drastically. This 3-car battle for 2nd is definitely allowing Edwards to pull away right now. Be interested to see if these guys separate from each other once they get through those green flag pit stops. Vickers to 2nd, Earnhardt back to 3rd, and Boyer to 4th. And while they are battling off for 2nd place, they're closing in on a lap car up ahead as well. A lot of cars on pit road. Clint Boyer will pit. Martin Truex Jr. on his way in as well. Earnhardt trying to get underneath the 57 of Brian Vickers into turns 1 and 2. Not quite going to be able to do it. 1/8 of a tank of gas left for Earnhardt. He'd like to make this race on 2 stops. Caution, well that's not going to help. Yellow flag is out in the middle of green flag pit stops. This is going to trap some cars a lap down. Oh, it was on pit road when the wreck happened. I don't think I've ever seen that in this game. There was a spin on pit road that brings out the caution. It looked like the 56 was making his way out of his pit box as the 22 of Kenny Wallace was coming in. So a caution on pit road, bringing out the yellow. And here comes the field on the pit road that hasn't already pit. Wedge adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. to try and loosen the car up a little bit. They're going to take a half a round out. 4 tires and fuel will be the call for the 81 team. Add that to the list of things we've seen with this game for the first time ever on the channel. A spin on pit road bringing out a caution. Just got NASCAR Heat Ultimate Edition for the Nintendo Switch last night. I've heard positive stuff about it. Seems like a lot of people tend to like it. Dale Jr. going to lose a couple spots on pit road. Looked like he lost 2 spots, plus whoever was already on pit road but didn't go lap down will cycle out in front of these guys. Carl Edwards will be the leader. Large portion of the field is going to be trapped a lap down. Boyer pitted the lap before the caution. I would not doubt that Clint Boyer's a lap down right now. The green flag is back in the air as Earnhardt restarts in 7th. He didn't take off well in the initial start of the race, and he did not take off well on this restart either. Brian Vickers going to get around Edwards for the lead. Edwards trapped behind lap cars, 2 and 3 wide. Now 4 wide, almost 5 wide off the exit of turn 4. Couple cars get into each other on the outside, causing a stack up. And Dale Jr. just going to drive underneath about 3 cars through the tri-oval to try and pick up positions. And now he'll go 3 wide into 1 and 2. I'm surprised they made it without wrecking. 4 wide off the exit of turn 4. A couple cars made contact. I don't think anybody got into the wall. And Dale Jr. with that wedge adjustment is picking up a lot of ground right now these first couple laps after the restart. Despite not taking off well the first half of the lap after the restart, he's back inside the top 5. And Edwards is side-by-side for the race lead right now with Brian Vickers. Earnhardt 3 wide for 3rd going into turns 1 and 2. What a move. Vickers clear off turn 2. Edwards trying to cross him over. Carl's been the class of the field so far. The lap car in front of him probably putting these guys in the dirty air. Junior overdrove 3 and 4 just a little bit. Wild restart at Chicagoland. Following the first caution of the day. Vickers almost trapped behind the lap car. He'll get underneath him though. Edwards trying to do the same right now as Dale Jr. looks to the inside. Edwards drives it in really deep. Into the corner. He gets underneath Vickers. Earnhardt drives it in too deep. He goes way up the racetrack. It has to lift. What a move by Carl Edwards. And he's back out in front again at Chicagoland. Junior down to the apron through the tri-oval trying to get underneath the lap car. It was the 120 who pitted early and got trapped a lap down. He's the first car lap down right now in the battle for the free pass position. These guys want to get all the points back possible that are battling for the lead right now, knowing Boyer got trapped a lap down with that caution. Looking low, Earnhardt underneath Vickers for 2nd place. Dale Jr. has not led yet today. Into turns 1 and 2, side by side for 2nd. And Junior is clear on the backstretch. Into turns 3 and 4. Trying to get underneath Carl Edwards. Deep dive into the corner, not going to work. It sounds like the 10 car of Michael Jourdain Jr., who blew an engine early on, is going to work himself back onto the track. Meanwhile, in turns 1 and 2, pass for the lead. Dale Jr. has cleared Edwards, and now a block on the backstretch to hold his positioning. Into turns 3 and 4, Jr. couldn't hold the bottom, and Edwards gets back around him, so still Dale Jr. has not led a lap today. Had it for a split second and then gave it right back up again in the next corner. Again, looks low. trying to get around the 60. Arcs the corner off into turn 1. Reagan Fan 6, welcome to the stream. At Atlanta for the race. Enjoy it, man. Stay dry if it rains. And try to stay there as long as you can if it rains, because you never know if they're going to get it in. Especially seeing what happened at Nashville a couple weeks ago. They're willing to wait all night if they have to at a track with lights, and Atlanta does have lights. This adjustment has definitely been good for Dale Jr. because Carl Edwards was unbeatable in that first run. And Dale Jr. all of a sudden can keep up with him now, at least in the short run. We'll see if his car tightens up over the long run again. He can get the clean air on the nose. It's definitely going to help. Can't get around the 60. Into turns 3 and 4. He's going to go to the outside. I don't think he's got the grip to be able to do it. Look at how close to the wall he's getting. Trying to force Edwards into a mistake as Edwards just tries to mimic his line. Vickers gets to the inside of Earnhardt, though, with going to the outside. That was probably not a good move for Dale Jr. Edwards still right in front of Earnhardt. Vickers keeping up with these guys, too, though. I wonder if Edwards just didn't keep up with the track conditions like the 57 and the 81 behind him. Junior tight. That was more of the dirty air, though, on the outside with Edwards running the same line as him. I think he would have held on to the outside if Edwards wasn't right there in front of him. Edwards now trying to block Brian Vickers as Vickers is in second. Tony Stewart's in fourth place, further behind. Kenseth behind him. So 5 Cup Series regulars run all throughout the top 5 right now. Hart underneath Vickers through 3 and 4. Quickly clears him for second. Lap 76. Great battle for the lead right now at Chicagoland. Half a lane off the bottom was Edwards that time. Just enough for Junior to get a little bit of clean air. Edwards leads that lap again, but I think Dale Jr. is underneath him. Big block by Edwards. Contact into turn 1. That messed the momentum up from the 81, and it looks like Edwards is going to make the pass right back again. That was a block in which Edwards was not clear on. And it costed Earnhardt, again, another shot at trying to lead. Junior's desperate for these points right now. And desperate to get the most laps led if he can help it. Edwards has led a lot already, though. But you never know if Dale Jr. can pull away if he can just get to the lead and stay there. Look at how low he runs off turn 2, trying to get to the inside of the 60. Into turns 3 and 4. Edwards is not giving Dale Jr. a lot of room. Jr. overdrives the corner, goes wide. Didn't let Vickers underneath him, though. I don't think Edwards has the fastest car in the field anymore. I think that saying has been flipped after that first pit stop under the caution. You couldn't ask for better racing, though, right now. What a battle. Widens the arc out through 3 and 4. He's doing everything he can and more to get around this 60 car right now, but he just can't do it. Getting really low into turns 1 and 2. Clear off turn 2. Now can he hold it in 3 and 4, and we'll see if he'll be able to drive away after that. Dale Jr. tries to lead his first lap of the race today, lap 80 for the 81. And he'll be able to do that. 5 bonus points for Dale Earnhardt Jr. finally getting that first lap led of the evening. We'll see what he can do with the clean air. He was just working on Edwards for about 15 laps or so. It finally got around him. Doesn't have to worry about getting tight, dirty air anymore. At least for the time being. Caution's out for the second time today at lap 82. Looked like it was off turn 2 at the back of the pack. And it's the 131 car going for a spin. Driver's side door first into the... Oh, man, a couple hard hits in there as he came back across the field. And then another car ended up turning into the outside wall head on. That was the 112. That was also collected. So caution's out again. Dale Jr. will stay out of the... So Junior stayed out, and it sounded like some of the cars behind him pit. I don't know how many, but we'll see. Green flag will be back in the air. Lap 86. Dale Jr. is not taking off well in the restarts today, and he did not take off well that time either. He's just trying to block for his life right now, and Edwards is going to get around him on the restart. Junior's going to be 3 wide middle off turn 2. Going to let Yaley go and get to the bottom into turns 3 and 4 again. Pretty realistic wreck for being AI, yeah, I'd say. Couple hard hits in there, too. Right after Junior gets to the lead for a couple laps, caution comes out, loses the lead on the restart. And it sounded like some of the field is pit. Alternating the strategy maybe a bit. Yaley got really tight in line behind Edwards. Edwards went way wide, and Dale Jr. is all over the back bumper of the 60. He wants to lead again. Took him so long to get around Edwards the first time. He knows it could be that same struggle again this time, and he doesn't want to wait on it. Earnhardt to the lead in turns 1 and 2. The lap car of J.J. Yaley, who's second in points, trapped a lap down, also with the points leader, Clint Boyer. He's trying to get his lap back right now. I don't know who got the free pass during that last caution. John Hamilton, for the longest time, was the first car a lap down, but here he started a lap down again. Another good launch on the restart. I'll try to hang on as long as he can. Carl Edwards crosses over J.J. Yaley through turns 1 and 2. We are almost halfway home. We're going to alternate through the different the different drivers at Chance 2 Motorsports right now. We'll start off with Mark Truex Jr. in the number 8. Truex in the middle of the pack in 13th place right now, 3 wide off turn 2. Some lap cars around him, some lead lap cars around him. Got one spot out of it, though, to 12th. I would imagine Ryan Newman was the pass for position in that. Looks like Carl Edwards just got to the inside of the 60 of Dale Jr. through 1 and 2, and Jr.'s about to lose the lead. Edwards clear into 3 and 4. Truex a little further back, picks up a position. make that 2 spots as he'll get around Brandon Miller in the front stretch as well. So Truex back inside the top 10. We'll go back to Dale Jr. for now. Means he lost the lead. Fortunately, it wasn't myself who personally lost the lead to Edwards, even though Edwards did pass the 81 of Earnhardt. Edwards may be on a little bit fresher tires, though, too. Well, team commands, you can choose to follow them, or choose for that teammate that you end up picking. If you have multiple teammates to follow you, potentially block for you, you could swap. And what's the other one? I think for them to follow you also. Or you to follow them, excuse me. Essentially. But they don't have to let you do that, though. Like, they can say no and deny it. Deny working with you or anything in that nature. Team orders don't always work. Anybody that's been a fan of NASCAR would know that that would probably be the case. That's not a shocking statement. This leader's closing in on John Hamilton in the 120. Who turns 1 and 2. Dale Jr. gets to the inside of Edwards, and they're 3 wide as Edwards got sandwiched pretty tightly between both the 81 and the 120. Still side by side for the lead right now between Edwards and Earnhardt. Dead even at the line. Edwards leads that lap. Dale Jr. with the advantage, having the shortest line around the racetrack down on the bottom, and he'll clear Edwards off turn 2 for the lead again. One car blowing up on the backstretch. Looks like it's Eric Crocker for the second straight race, has blown an engine. Jr. just missed his corner through 3 and 4. Edwards is going to get right back to the lead again. Lap car of John Hamilton down low, going to make contact with Dale Jr. Jr. underneath the 60 of Edwards, side by side on the backstretch. Edwards not giving Earnhardt a lot of room into 3 and 4. That caution coming out back at lap 60. It's going to be interesting if it could still be a 2-stop race today. Versus a 3-stop race. Halfway on fuel in the middle of 3 and 4 at lap 99. We'll scrape into the wall for Earnhardt. He'll lose a little time on the front stretch to Edwards. He's trying to hang on with him. Halfway home this time by. There won't be a trivia question in this early race today. But there will be 2 trivia questions in our Atlanta Cup race later today when I do the live commentary to make it up to you guys. I don't want to pause it so we could get this done in time. Means I did not have a trivia question for you guys before the start of this race today. We'll have 2 trivia questions in the second race of our doubleheader with the actual Cup race, and this one, no trivia question. Very tight battle for the lead right now. Edwards keeps pinching Dale Jr. anytime it looks like Jr. is underneath the 60. Jr. to the bottom of the track through 3 and 4. Carl Edwards A little wide off the exit of the corner. Earnhardt again down low, but Edwards is clear. It has been a non-stop battle for this lead since that first caution came out at lap 60. Relentless. Trying to pull to the inside of Edwards again in the tri-oval. Can't do it. Earnhardt going to go to the outside at turns 1 and 2. He tried it in 3 and 4 earlier. Didn't really work out for him. He'll try the top lane through 1 and 2. Now we'll go to the outside in 3 and 4. Edwards looked like he may have gotten a little loose that time. Trying to force Cousin Carl into a mistake. Into turns 1 and 2. Earnhardt down on the bottom lane now. On the backstretch. Dale Jr. not clear. Edwards still on the outside into turns 3 and 4. And Earnhardt will be clear with a clean pass off turn 4. Third different time Dale Jr.'s been out in the lead today. Edwards going to cross him over in 1 and 2. Again, side by side for the lead. And Jr.'s going to try to squeeze the 60 of Edwards down on the racetrack. Edwards hits him. Up the hill goes Earnhardt. He kept it off the wall, and Edwards is back in the lead. Dangerous contact there. Every time Edwards pinched Earnhardt, there was no contact. Earnhardt pitches Edwards, and Edwards moves him up the track. He's like, no, that's my move. I don't want you to use the same move I did to you. And I don't think Edwards obviously appreciated that, but I don't think Dale Jr. would have appreciated it either. He passed Edwards cleanly despite how many times he was blocking him. Got to be careful not to wreck each other. Caution comes out. Dale Jr. would not be able to pit for fuel or tires. Weather expert, welcome to the stream. I don't know that Edwards is going to lose the lead again. Dale Jr. can't close enough back to him. Off the exit of turn 4. Edwards squeezes Earnhardt. He was clear though. Jr. all the way to the apron on the backstretch. Desperately just trying to find a way to get back underneath the 60. Through turns 3 and 4. Nose to tail. Edwards squeezes Earnhardt. Dale Jr. underneath him into 1 and 2. Jr. just gonna look to try and pass the 60 cleanly again. No, he does not. He runs him up the hill. He's saying, hey, if you did it to me, I can do it to you. And Dale Jr. is back in the lead with an aggressive move on Edwards. Same move that Edwards did to Earnhardt. $89 laps to go at Chicagoland today. Toxic Punk Young Boy, welcome to the stream. Dale Jr. trying to control the track position. Now that he's in the lead himself. Ideally trying to get to about 70 laps to go to try and be within the window to make it to the end of this race on a two-stopper. He pitted at lap 60 during the caution. And I'd imagine 70 laps is about all the further he could go. Edwards not directly in line behind Dale Jr. anymore. It seems like there's a couple car-like difference between the two of them. We can alternate through the different camera angles one more time in today's race. Quarter tank of gas left for Earnhardt. Lap 117 right now out of 200. Dale Jr. left a lot of bottom open, though, through 3 and 4, and it sounds like Carl Edwards is underneath him off the exit of the corner. Side by side for the lead. Edwards side drafts Earnhardt on his way into turns 1 and 2. Clear. Jr. pins the car to the bottom, trying to cross him over, but Dale Jr. not going to get underneath him. 60 car was hooked to the white line that time. Look at how low Edwards throws the block on the backstretch. Two are the class of the field right now. Earnhardt, knowing his points deficit coming into the race today, is in a dire situation to get this train back rolling in the right direction. If he's going to want to have a shot at the title going into the final 16 races after this one today. Next race at New Hampshire. He just won at Milwaukee on a flat 1 mile racetrack. Would not doubt that he's should say that he is going to likely have a good car at New Hampshire, you would have to imagine. Maybe underneath the 60 of Carl Edwards. Into turns 1 and 2. Edwards drove it in really deep. Dale Jr. gave him a lot of room. Jr. was expecting to be chopped off that time, wanted no part of it. And let Edwards go. Right rear tire starting to wear off on the 81 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. This late into the fuel and tire stint. Edwards about a half a lane off the bottom. Dale Jr. hooking the white line all the way through turns 1 and 2. I will say that Edwards has definitely led the most laps up to this point. Will probably go on to lead the most by the end of the race. Jr. running so much quicker as of right now compared to what he was in qualifying. About 0.3 of a second quicker, and that's even late into this tire stint. We'll go back to the far chase cam for the rest of the race when we get back to the start-finish line this time by. What a battle right now between Dale Jr. and Carl Edwards. Edwards with a big-time block into turns 1 and 2. Junior in the dirty air, gonna go up the track just a little bit. Middle of the corner, couldn't hold the bottom like Edwards did all the way around. Earnhardt to the inside of Edwards. Side by side for the lead. Off of turn 4. I don't even know who led that lap at the line that time. Edwards squeezing Dale Earnhardt Jr. again, and there was a little bit of contact that time. Jr. repays the favor. He puts the 60 into the wall. I think he's had enough. Edwards battles back to the outside again. Junior leads at Chicagoland. Edwards all over his door into turn 1. Now Earnhardt throws the block, but he overdrives the corner in the process. Up in the marbles on the outside. Edwards has the lead. Again, Earnhardt underneath Carl Edwards. Off turn 4. Edwards leads that lap at the line, but they are dead even. Contact into turn 1. Earnhardt's loose. Hangs onto it, though, and Edwards hangs onto the lead. Junior blocking the 133 for second now into turns 3 and 4. That was a big moment from the 81 of Dale Earnhardt Jr. And Carl Edwards leads at Chicagoland. Junior's car is really upset right now. Back to 5th. It looks like Boyer must have gotten the free pass during the last caution because he was a lap down after the first yellow. Earnhardt back to 5th. His tires were worn out, and then he had that big loose moment with Carl Edwards, and now he just can't hang on to the race car. He is running extremely low on fuel. He's going to stay out one more lap. He's going to pit as soon as that window opens this time by. Assuming the window will be open for him. Dives underneath that. Matt Kenseth, rather. Edwards' teammate off turn 2. One car blowing up on the bottom of the racetrack. With a blown engine, it's Ryan Newman, the pole sitter in the 39, having issues. Dale Jr., oh, he spins and gets clobbered by the 57 of Brian Vickers. Up and over goes Earnhardt at Chicagoland as he tried to pit. Off turn 4, overcorrected it on the apron and gets slammed off turn 4. Ay, ay, ay. Vickers in the wrong place at the wrong time there. Nasty collision. Junior can't pit for fuel or tires, being involved in the accident. This unfortunately going to send him to the back. Good day gone bad in an instant. Earnhardt has rolled over. Still in the race. Luckily, nobody else was collected, just the 2-car accident.
The only car on pit road during that entire caution.
Green flag back in the air. Earnhardt will restart in 27th. Probably should have taken a quarter tank of gas just to make sure I was going to make it back around. Edwards going to lose the lead to the 133 car on the restart. Dale Jr. going to pit this time. Doesn't want to wreck. No practice really costed him. I really hope I had enough fuel in the car. Please tell me I had a full tank. I spammed through it. We'll see. It looks like it's going to be a 4-tire stop for Earnhardt. I was trying to gas it up getting to pit road, and I hit the commitment line before I did it. So I accidentally hit select. Hopefully they got the car full of fuel. Edwards continues to lead. Dale Jr. going to be a lap down at 40th. You have to wait for everybody else to cycle through pit stops. Nobody pitted under that second... well, actually, it would have been the third yellow of the race. I'm thinking they might have pit during the second yellow. Which is why they're still on the racetrack right now. It's definitely a one-stop race to the end for everybody else. Some cars are on pit road as we speak. You'd have to imagine that some of the speed is knocked out of this 81 car with flipping. You would think. We'll see how many positions he can pick up. He does have fresher tires than the leaders. It was a clean stop for the 81 team, but he's got a lot of catching up to do if he's going to want a shot to still win this race. It sounds like the 106 car, maybe somebody that blew an engine earlier in the race, is going to work his way back out onto the racetrack many, many laps down. Probably going to slow some of the field up, I'd have to imagine. I hope the season's not over after that wreck. I don't even know how that happened. Got to the apron. The same thing happened in the Cup race, only nobody hit Dale Jr. Unfortunately, Brian Vickers was there and hit him, causing that hard and violent accident. Jr. trying to close the gap as he wedges himself underneath the 116. Side drafts him on the backstretch for good measure. Into turns 3 and 4 they go. Bubba also only has one top 25 finish in the last 5 races. Jeez. That would have been what, Nashville? Finished 12th. I know he didn't make it to the end of Sonoma. I think he just had DNFs in that stretch outside of that 12th. Could be wrong on that. I think Carl Edwards just pit from the lead. Truex is going to pit right now. Junior overdrives turns 3 and 4 quite a bit. It's not going to be an easy pathway to get around the field right now. A lot of cars coming out of the pits. Cycle back inside the top 30 at least. He's definitely going to be way behind the leaders. It's going to be up to 26. Still more cars have to pit. Caution, and that's going to trap Earnhardt a lap down. My goodness. 4th yellow of the race today. And it's debris off of Tony Raines' race car. I don't know where Raines had damage from. Maybe there was a stack up on a restart. He was involved in one of the earlier accidents, but that is a tough break. And we're going to have a lot of cars pitting that have not pit, that have trapped most of the field a lap down. This is just shaking the running order up even more. I don't think there's that many cars left on the lead lap. Green flag back of there. You can see how small that outside lane is on the restart. And of course, Clint Boyer is the one who has taken the lead through all of this. You have got to be kidding me. The green flag is back in the air. 3 wide for the lead up at the front of the field. Junior not taking off well on the restart. He hasn't all day. And Earnhardt's going to have to try to get back on the lead lap and hope for another yellow. He needs to get that lap back first. 3 and nearly 4. Yep, they're 4 wide again off the exit of turn 4. 1 car in the wall on the outside. Contact off turn 4. They're stacking up. Earnhardt goes to the bottom, goes 3, nearly 4 wide himself to make passes. He's up to 21st. And no caution, we stay green. That time it definitely didn't work. They had 4 wide earlier, and it was a lot more organized than that was on a restart. Junior's lucky he got to the bottom. He had a car underneath him off turn 4, but I think that car checked up before he did. Junior trying to salvage as good of a finish as he can. Maybe he doesn't have to get his lap back, just has to get in the free pass position. Maybe that first car lap down if we see another yellow. 50 laps to go at Chicagoland. 3 wide to the inside off turn 4. Dale Jr. way down low. Making passes for position off turn 4. He's back inside the top 15. How this car still has any sort of speed after flipping, I have no clue. He ran a 29.796 that last lap. And he's up to 14th. But the problem is the points leader is the one leading the race. Kenseth one way up the track, overdriving 3 and 4, allows Kenny Wallace to get back underneath him. Don't know of the cars in front of him who is on the lead lap and who isn't. I think Edwards is a lap down. He's got a good chance of unlapping himself. He's probably had the fastest car in the field today. .131 car who was involved in an accident earlier on in the day as well. I think he was involved in that crash at lap 82. Right in front of Dale Jr. now. Jr. trying to get around him. Looking low in the tri-oval. He is there into turns 1 and 2. That was the car on the lead lap, but it'll make a clean pass on him nevertheless. Edwards passing Shane Meal off turn 2, clearing him. Earnhardt trying to get underneath the 57 of Brian Vickers. He's underneath him. Drives him up the track. A little bit of contact. Shane Meal was for position. Junior to 13th. Off turn 2. Car got mad like Herbie the Volkswagen. Yeah. Make him angry. He'll knock all the dust and rust off of it. I don't even know how I'm back in the top 15. Edwards may be a lap down, though. And it was a good battle for the lead between the 60 and the 81 for a large majority of this race today. Now it's going to be a good battle for the free pass position. I'd like to get back to Boyer. Earnhardt still has 2 sets of tires left at the end of the race. We're assuming he has enough fuel to make it to the end, but we're not entirely sure if that car got packed full when he did pit. Had to stay out, though, to keep the track position with that last caution. Otherwise, he was half tempted to come back down and take 4 tires to top off. But I'd say that stack up on the restart pass in about a half a dozen, if not more, cars definitely helped. As he closes on the 60 of Carl Edwards. It's going to be the toughest car to probably pass all day. It has been up to this point all day. I would not doubt that both Edwards and Earnhardt are faster than Clint Boyer in the 2. Earnhardt can't waste time. You, again, just never know. We've had 4 yellows in this race. Any lap, any moment, there could be a caution. He can't waste time getting around Edwards. Really tight, though, in that dirty air behind the 60. The 60 just keeps hitting his marks on the bottom. Clint Boyer just bottomed out that time. Returns 1 and 2. The only good news is, though, is that if the 60 and the 81 don't get alongside one another, if they're both faster than the 2, they'll catch him. They run side by side consistently, they may not catch him. These 2 are bad fast right now. Into turns 3 and 4, Earnhardt overdrives the corner. He's trying to find a way to get underneath of Edwards. He just can't do it. 40 laps to go at Chicagoland today. Into turns 1 and 2. Earnhardt to the inside of Edwards for the free pass position and for 12th place. Clear with a block on the backstretch. Protects the bottom into turns 3 and 4. Like to get back on the lead lap around Boyer next if he can. He's driving away from Edwards. This is unbelievable. He doesn't want to be at the tail end of the longest line, though. And knowing that there's only 11 cars on the lead lap, 12 if he can get his lap back. It's unbelievable. Yes, but I'm probably going to lead closer to the start of that Atlanta race than what I wanted to originally, but we'll get through this race in time for the start of the Atlanta race. Kind of don't want to intimidate Boyer, but if he holds me up too long, I'm going to think about it. The only reason is because if he gets too loose, I don't want Edwards to get his lap back. On top of it, case there is a caution, because he does have a fast car too. Just inching and creeping up to Clint Boyer right now is Dale Earnhardt Jr. May have overdrove 1 and 2 just a bit, but he still kept the car on the bottom of the racetrack. I don't know how. As flat as he drove it in that time, but he did. Edwards may still be a little quicker than the tube, but not as quick as the 81 right now. 29.865 that last lap for Dale Jr., one of his fastest laps of the race. Trying to force Boyer into a mistake off turn 2. Boyer ran a bit wide through 3 and 4. As soon as he moved down on this... Oh, wow, looked like there was almost trouble off turn 4 that last lap. A lot of smoke. No caution, though. We stay green. Getting racy back there. Flat entry into turns 3 and 4, but Earnhardt holds on to it even with the dirty air. Boyer running that inside lane right in front of him. Junior's pushing hard, trying to get his lap back. Trying to get the lap back and then hoping for a late yellow. All over the 2's back bumper. Little contact. Into 3 and 4. Squeezes underneath Boyer. He is there. Side by side off turn 4. 32 to go for Boyer to try and win his 6th race of the season and go back-to-back. Into turns 1 and 2. Still side by side. Junior on the bottom. Boyer on the outside. Still not clear, though. Down the back. Earnhardt should clear him into 3 and 4, and he does. 12 cars on the lead lap now. 1 car slow in the tri-oval. Trying to limp his way back to pit road. He's now in 1 and 2. It's J.J. Yaley. That was not a position. He was a lap down. So the second place driver in the point standings has just blown an engine, and the guy leading the points is leading the race. He already came in with a 255-point lead. He's going to grow that astronomically now. Left a lot of bottom open, but Boyer couldn't get underneath him that time. 30 to go for Clint Boyer. Sooner a caution comes out, the better for Earnhardt. He'll have more laps. He's definitely going to take on fresh tires if a caution comes out. You get a restart with less than 10 laps to go, then all the lap cars will line up behind the lead lap cars. Halfway on fuel right now for Earnhardt. 30 to go for him. 29 for Boyer, who leads and is right behind Earnhardt. Earnhardt's slowly getting away from him, though. I do think the 81 has the fastest car in the field. If he can get fresh tires on top of it, that is going to help astronomically. And there's a will, there's a way. You never know. In these full races, there is still time for a caution to come out again. I don't know that there's many cars with damage, so I doubt we're going to get another debris caution. I didn't think we were going to get the one when we did end up getting that caution, though, at the same time. Earnhardt just riding around hoping for a yellow. I don't know that he could get past all 11 of them for the lead in less than 30 laps. But I do think he could definitely get a top 10 with a caution. He doesn't take off well on the restarts either, which definitely doesn't help. It's a near accident off turn 4 about a half a dozen laps ago. There was a lot of smoke there when we drove back around, but there was no caution for it. We were about a tenth quicker than Earnhardt through 1 and 2 as Earnhardt drove it in a bit too flat, too deep into the corner. We will take our second and final field pass of the race today at the start-finish line. We'll see where Martin Truex Jr. is in the running order right now. And currently Truex is in 5th. So he's in the top 5 hoping for a good run. Oh no, Dale Jr. has a problem. He's on pit road. I think he has just blown an engine. That is unbelievable. The damage from flipping earlier has caught up to him. Dale Earnhardt Jr. has just blown an engine while getting back on the lead lap after flipping earlier. It was in 12th. And oh, a squeeze! Into the wall goes Truex for contact with the 32 of Shane Meal, who is a lap down and nearly caused an accident. Well then. Now Truex is 10 seconds off the lead in 5th. 21 laps to go. Damon McCune, welcome to the stream. Go Blaney indeed. Sounds like it looks like Junior's back on the racetrack. We'll flip back to him. 20 laps remain. Yeah, he's 2 laps down right now. And he's got fresher tires. Why did Dale Jr. pit? I think he was good on field to the end, but he has pit. And now he's in 30 at 2 laps down. I'm confused at why the AI pitted me when we were driving as Truex. I thought we might have had an engine failure for a second. That wasn't the case. I'm confused. Country Boy, welcome to the stream. Yes, there will be live race commentary later today for the Atlanta Cup race. Immediately following the finish of this stream today. 18 laps to go right now as Dale Jr. runs 2 laps down in 30th. He flipped earlier in the race, led some laps. He's actually in second place when he went, or 5th rather, I guess, when he came into pit road. Spun out, went back across the racetrack, got drilled. And Brian Vickers flipped in turns 3 and 4. And got back on the lead lap, got back up to 12th before having to make an unscheduled stop about 5 laps ago. And now he's trapped 2 down. And he's too far behind Boyer to get one of those laps back now. This game literally costed me 18 positions. I have no clue why it pitted us. I think we had enough fuel to the end, so I don't know why it pitted us. Gonna get around Kenny Wallace, but that's not for position. Back-to-back bad finishes, it looks like, on back-to-back nights for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Kenny Wallace in the 22 car. Driving it in deep. He had all 4 tires down on the apron going into turns 3 and 4. Clears Wallace. Wallace clears Earnhardt. Earnhardt going to cross him over into turns 1 and 2. It's a good battle, it's just not for position. So it doesn't matter. Kenny could cost himself a position, though, if he battles too long with Dale Jr. Not exactly sure who the next car behind him for position is. Clint Boyer had a pretty big lead over whoever was in second place because the car that was directly behind him was a 60 of Edwards, and he was a lap down in 13th, would now be in 12th with Junior making that unscheduled pit stop. And remember, J.J. Yaley, who came into the race second in points, blew an engine earlier on. Boyer goes on to win this race today. It won't be a max points day like it was at Daytona, but it will be a win, his 6th of the season. And he'll continue to boost himself further up in that championship running right now. And just unbelievable when things have backfired like they have. Mark Shark Jr. was in 5th when we saw him last, just moments ago. So at least one of the Chance 2 Motorsport cars are looking at a top 5. Truex came into the race 5th in the point standings, but even himself 285 points out of first. Considering Dale Jr. is 2 laps down, 8 laps left now for Clint Boyer to win this race. It really fell into his hands. He didn't lead a single lap until that last restart when he restarted in the lead. Caution had come out. And Boyer either won the race off pit road or he was on pit road when the caution waved. Therefore, he didn't go a lap down yet, got the restart in the lead. NASCAR Pepsi Cup Series Racing, welcome to stream. Yes, live commentary for today's Cup race will be on the channel immediately following the finish of this stream. doubleheader on the channel today. That'll be obviously on another stream. I won't be wasting much time after the end of this race here in a few laps to get that next stream started. Try to get through the finishing results. Look at the point standings as quickly as we possibly can. So if you're waiting in the chat or the other one wondering why it's not starting on time, obviously I have a stream going right now so you know where I'm at. Few cautions in this one might have delayed it just a bit, even though we've only had 4 yellows. Scheduled drop of the green flag at 3:03. I don't think it was 3:03. Four laps to go. Three to go now. To Bob Hocker Street. Who is currently watching the race that is in the chat right now? The last start time, he said. They got moved up then. It wasn't originally supposed to be 3:03. Good thing my fantasy lineup's set. I'll just skip all the post race then for this live stream and we'll just get you sent out there as quick as possible. White flag this time by for Clint Boyer. 1 lap to go. Obviously, you guys know that Clint Boyer is probably going to win this race unless he drops an engine in the last half a lap. I had no clue they moved the start time up. Checker flag in the air, 6th win of the Busch Series season for Clint Boyer. He'll add on to his points lead. Dale Jr. will finish in 30th. Kenny Wall 2nd, Luke Trigger in 3rd, Brian Vickers 4th, and a top 5 for the other Chance 2 Motorsport car of Martin Truex Jr. We're going to skip the finishing results. You can see the top 9, of course, where Dale Jr. finished right there. Like and subscribe for more daily NASCAR content. I'll get you guys that Atlanta commentary very soon. Sorry, I didn't think they moved the start time up for that race, but I'll get out of there and get that stream started ASAP.